Do you remember the year 2008? Britney Spears is playing everywhere you go. Huge games like GTA 4, Smash Bros. Brawl, Left 4 Dead, and he was made. Well, I don't, because I wasn't even alive. But you might remember a game called Castle Crashers releasing on the Xbox 360 on August 22nd of that same year. It was later released on the PS3 in 2010 and on PC in 2012. Well, Castle Crashers is a 2D side-scrolling hack and slash where you or up to 3 other people play as magical knights going through a pretty big map fighting waves of enemies. You start off with 4 characters being the Orange Knight, which uses a fire-based moveset, the Blue Knight, which uses an ice-based moveset, the Red Knight, which uses a lightning-based moveset, and the Green Knight, which uses a toxic-based moveset. In total, you can get 31 knights, all with different abilities, weapons, and even some cosmetics. Every level you get 1 or more points to spend on your strength, magic, defense, or your agility. Every 5 points spent in your magic slot gets you a new ability and adds on to the moves you had before, whether that be making the moves have a further range, making them have extra projectiles. I decided to use the Red Knight because he looks like one of those guys who think he's about to be in an edit. You start off partying with a bunch of civilians and Grey Knights when you see a Grey Knight falling down the stairs, and when you go up to see what's happening, you watch some wizard guy take the king's giant crystal. I don't know, we'll go along with it. You go outside to see your village burning and being attacked while your princesses are being kidnapped. Almost immediately after leaving the castle, you fight your first mini-boss. Mini-bosses are basically the same as normal bosses, but they don't drop money everywhere like you'll see the first real boss do, which comes about 3 minutes after beating the first mini-boss. After you kill this huge barbarian, a giant chest with a lot of gems and gold comes in falling out of the sky, and you get to cut the princess free. But if you're playing with other people, you and these people fight each other and the last man standing gets her. The next area you go to is the One Piece part of the map, where it's a bunch of people next to a giant ship in the background. Before you can set sail, you need a compass, a steering wheel, and a spyglass. To keep playing, you have to leave here and go on another path into the woods. In these woods, you might find a little green seahorse, and when you touch it, he won't leave you alone. These are animal orbs, which are basically your sidekicks of the game. You can find 29 different animal orbs throughout the game, each having their own abilities and looks. Here you can find a long haul of them, and you can talk to this doctor who tells you exactly what all of them do. Just outside of this cabin, you can find this dude right next to a huge green antlered thing with its mouth open. If you go inside his mouth, you can find all the weapons you picked up throughout the game. So if you get all 84, it's going to be a pretty long run. This is the first chunk of the game, which I think is super good for telling you what this gameplay is going to feel like with the magic controls and the melee controls. If you go looking around the map, you might find a lot of different arenas everywhere. These are places you can go to fight a huge number of whatever the base enemy is, depending on which arena you pick. If you survive a couple of rounds, it'll eventually end and you'll unlock whatever character you were fighting to play as yourself. Thankfully, every few stages, you get to do something really crazy, like running away from a giant monster crawling towards you while you're riding a deer, to running to an escape pod in an alien spaceship that belongs to the same species of aliens from the last game that was made by Behemoth called Alien Hominid. So the game doesn't get too repetitive. With 31 different knights, it might be difficult to know how to unlock them. I'm going to give you a basic rundown, but there are multiple other videos that talk about exactly what to do. First, you can beat the game with specific characters. For example, if you beat the game with the Red Knight, you unlock Skeleton. But if you beat the game with Green Knight, you get the Chain Face. You can also unlock characters through completing arenas, which I already talked about. You can also beat the Insane mode to unlock some characters, but I'll talk about that later. But the most unique way to get a character is by purchasing him, which I'll get into later on. After you beat the game, you can play Insane Mode with the same character. Insane Mode is basically New Game Plus, letting you play the game again but with everything from your first playthrough available to you the entire time. There are also some items and characters that you can only get from Insane Mode, so it gives you a big reason to play it. You also unlock the Insane Store, which has 3 different weapons which are all really good and can be swapped around depending on what kind of player you are. Or you can buy 2 other animal orbs. You can also buy Hattie Haddington for 1,200 coins, which is the main villain in the game that came out for the Xbox 360 called Battle Block Theater, which is also one of my favorite games ever and is developed by Behemoth. Please give us a remaster or a sequel or anything for that game. Anyway, all of these things here cost a lot of gold, and unfortunately this game doesn't have a lot of places to farm it. So the fastest money farm that I found is the Barbarian boss. All you have to do is kill him really fast, get the gold, leave, and repeat. Was Castle Crashers really that good? Absolutely. If you played it when it released, you'll feel like you did back when this was the funniest thing imaginable on the internet. But if you're gonna play it for the first time, this game still holds up pretty well if you're looking for something new that'll make you want to keep playing. Castle Crashers is really good even if you're playing by yourself, but if you're playing with a group of friends, it gives you a much bigger reason to keep playing this game because it's simply a fun experience. If you haven't played this game already, I beg you to pick it up for like $10 and play it. Trust me, you'll love it. Thanks for watching all the way through to the end. What other new or old games do you want me to make a video on? And other than all that,